Hello boys and girls, today we are looking at adding and subtracting decimals. So this is our next lesson in our decimal unit. And our learning target today says, I can add and subtract decimals. Here we see this little icon again, and it tells us again things that we want to think about throughout this video and throughout the lesson. So I want you to think about, what is a decimal? What exactly is a decimal? Okay, think about what makes a number a decimal. How is a decimal number different than a whole number? Okay, and another question here, what is important about the decimal point? Okay, take a look at this box here. I would suggest writing down these steps. These are the steps for adding decimal numbers. Step 1 says line up the decimal points and fill in zeros if needed. So if one number goes farther like into the thousands place or something like that, you need to fill in the other one with the zeros to keep them lined up. Step 2 says drop the decimal point directly down. And step 3 says add to find the sum. So let's go through this example here and we can look at what exactly those steps mean. So step 1, line up the decimal points and fill in zeros if needed. So I'm going to write these vertically, 4 and 56 hundredths. Now we need to line up that decimal point, so I'm going to put my decimal point right in there. We have 6 and 34 hundredths. We're adding those together. Now there are no extra numbers on either the top or bottom number, so we do not need to fill in any zeros on this one. So we can, so that takes care of step 1. Step 2, drop the decimal point directly down. So we want to keep that decimal point lined up the entire time, so we're just going to go ahead and write our decimal point right in there. Step 3, add to find the sum. So we start on our far right in our hundredths place, and we say 6 plus 4 equals 10. So we write down our 10, regroup our 1. 1 plus 5 plus 3, well 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 3 equals 9. Then we move over into our ones place. 4 plus 6, again, is 10. So we have a final answer here of 10 and 9/10. All right. Next one, same thing. I'm going to write down my first number here, 23 and 4/10. Again, we have to line up that decimal point, so I'm going to draw it in there. We have a 1 in the ones place, and then everything else is behind the decimal. So 1 and 287 thousandths. Okay, so that's the first step. We also need to fill in with zeros. Notice how this number, the 1 and 287 thousandths, goes farther than our 23 and 4/10. So we just write our zeros in. Okay. Step 2, drop the decimal point directly down. Okay. Now step 3, add to find the sum. Well, 0 plus 7 is 7. 0 plus 8 is 8. 4 plus 2 is 6. 3 plus 1 is 4. And we bring down that 2 for a final answer here of 24 and 687 thousandths. So I think the most important thing when we are adding and subtracting our decimals is keeping that decimal point lined up the entire time through. Okay? All right, let's go through some more here. Write down this first number, 456 thousandths. And we are adding 9 and 3/10. Again, we have to keep that decimal point lined up. Okay. Fill in with zeros. We have some leftover numbers on the end of this top number, so we have to fill in those zeros on the bottom. Step 3, drop our decimal point down. And now we just add like usual. 6 plus 0 is 6. 5 plus 0 is 5. 4 plus 3 is 7. 0 plus 9 is 9. So we have a final answer there of 9 and 756 thousandths. Another one, 5 and 43 hundredths. Again, at any point during this, if you think you've got it, pause me, try these on your own, and then check your answer. We are adding 643 and 78 hundredths. So again, I'm going to enter in that decimal point. 643 and 78 hundredths. So our decimal, or our number lines up to the right of the decimal, so we do not need to fill in any zeros. 8 plus 3 is 11. Write down our 1, regroup our other one. 1 plus 4 is 5, plus 7 is 12, so we write down our 2, regroup our 1. 1 plus 5 is 6, plus 3 is 9. Then we bring down our 4 and our 6. And if you notice, I already forgot, step 2, I forgot to drop down the decimal, so we want to make sure we do that. Okay, keep that decimal nice and lined up. So we have a final answer of 649 and 21 hundredths. Okay. All right, couple more here. Again, pause me at any point and try these on your own. 10 and 64 hundredths plus 56 and 7 tenths. Okay, again, make sure that decimal point is lined up. We have an extra number on the top to the right of the decimal, so we'll fill in the bottom with a 0. Drop down our decimal right away, and then add. 4 plus 0 is 4. 6 plus 7 is 13, so we write down our 3, regroup our 1. 1 plus 0 is 1, plus 6 is 7. 1 plus 5 is 6. So we have a final answer there of 67 and 34 hundredths. Last one for addition, 9 and 3 tenths. And we are adding 4 and 222 thousandths. Again, notice we got that decimal that's lined up. Now we have a couple extra numbers on our bottom number to the right of the decimal. So on the top number, I'll fill those in with zeros. Drop my decimal down and add like normal. 0 plus 2 is 2. 0 plus 2 is 2. 3 plus 2 is 5. 9 plus 4 is 13. So we have a final answer there of 13 and 522 thousandths. Okay, so there are all of our answers for addition. Next, we are looking at subtracting decimals. Again, I would pause, write down the steps here for subtracting. Step 1 says, again, line up the decimal points, fill in zeros if needed. Step 2, drop the decimal point directly down. And step 3 says subtract to find the difference. So if you notice, the steps are very, very similar to addition. We need to make sure the decimal point is lined up, drop the decimal all the way down, but now the only difference is that we are subtracting instead of adding. So let's look at this first one here. 98 and 7 tenths minus 54 and 3 tenths. So I wrote down my first number. Now we're going to line up that decimal. So I'll put my decimal point in, fill in my 54 and 3 tenths. We are subtracting. Again, drop my decimal point down. Then we subtract. 7 minus 3 is 4. 8 minus 4 is 4. And 9 minus 5 is 4. For a final answer of 44 and 4 tenths. Next one, 76 and 4 tenths. And we are subtracting 6 and 34 hundredths. So again, we got to make sure that decimal point is lined up. So we have the 6 and 34 hundredths. Okay. Step 2, this time we actually do need to fill in zeros. We have an extra number past the decimal point on the bottom number. So on the top, we just fill it in with a 0. Step 2, drop my decimal point down. Step 3, subtract. Well, 0 minus 4, we cannot take 4 away from 0, so we are going to regroup. 10 minus 4 then is 6. 3 minus 3 is 0. 6 minus 6 is 0. And 7 drops down for an answer of 70 and 6 hundredths, because we are into the hundredths place. All right. Again, at any point you can always pause these and try them on your own and then watch to check the answer to see if you got it. Next one, 845 and 34 hundredths. And we are subtracting off 32 and 1/10. Again, we need to make sure that we get those decimals lined up. Step 2, we have to fill in, or sorry, still on step 1, we need to fill in with our zeros. Now, drop our decimal down, and then subtract like normal. 4 minus 0 is 4. 3 minus 1 is 2. 5, take away 2 is 3. 4 minus 3 is 1. We bring our 8 down for a final answer of 813 and 24 hundredths. Next one, let's follow those exact same steps. 99 and 76 hundredths. Subtracting 34 and 239 thousandths. Make sure you get that decimal point lined up every single time. Okay. Fill in with our missing zeros where we're needed, so right there. All right, now bring our decimal point down and then subtract to find the difference. 0 take away 9. Again, we cannot do that, so we need to regroup. This becomes 5, and this turns into 10. 10 minus 9 is 1. 5 minus 3 is 2. 7 minus 2 is 5. 9 minus 4 is 5. And 9 minus 6 is 3. For a final answer of 65 and 521 thousandths. Couple more here. 123 and 45 hundredths. And we are subtracting off 67 and 89 hundredths. Again, we got that decimal point lined up. Drop our decimal straight down below. Okay, they should always be lined up. Now subtract like normal. 5 minus 9, well, we're going to need to regroup for that. Now we have 15 minus 9 is 6. 3 minus 8, cannot do that. Again, we have to regroup. That becomes 13. 13 minus 8 is going to be 5. 2 minus 7, cannot do that, so we need to regroup. 12 minus 7 is going to be 5. 1 minus 6, we can't do that, so we need to regroup. 11 minus 6 is 5, so we have a final answer of 55 and 56 hundredths. All right, last one here. 5 and 3/10. We are subtracting off 2 and 435 thousandths. We need to fill in with zeros in those blank spots. Step 2, drop down our decimal. Step 3, subtract like normal. 0 take away 5, we cannot do that, so let's regroup. Well, we can't regroup from the 0, so now we have to move all the way over to the 3. This becomes not 2, this is 9. Now we can regroup. This becomes 10, and this will be a 8. 10 minus 5 is 5. 8 minus 3 is 5. 2 minus 4, can't do that, got to regroup. 12 minus 4 now is 8. 3 minus 2 is 1. So we have a final answer there of 1 and 855 thousandths. Okay, again, you can always go back and review any of this video that you were stuck on or was confusing to you. Write down any questions that you may have for me, and we'll go through them in class tomorrow. And right now, you're going to go and take your NICU quiz on adding and subtracting decimals.